So we're in the chapter, tracking and measuring what matters. Mistakes that I see myself have made and are led by emotional versus factual. So what I want to break down is, let's talk about the human battery. So when it's during a long day, and I'll just speak for myself, tracking with a team, or I'm working with a team, and I've got this high trust interview that I'm doing, I jump to this lock call, then I jump to the phone rings, I've got this lead to app. When a problem happened, or 911 happened, when I became a poor leader, or when I lost my cool, is when my battery was low. When my battery was low, I reacted. I was emotional. I wasn't factual. Unfortunately, what happens when you do that is you end up positioning yourself to look like a fool. I look like a fool because my team would lose respect for me, and my team would I'd be like thrown an adult tinter. But as I learned to stop leading emotionally, or as I learned when I know my battery is low, to exit myself from that emotional conversation and come back tomorrow or come back later on in the afternoon with a recharged battery and a factual proof, it was really helped because it became coaching to my team instead of became criticism to my team. Another huge mistake I made, it's leadership 101. To be very successful in this business, you've got to be an emotional person because you've got to be a driver. The challenge that sometimes I've had in this business is when you're emotional, you end up selling yourself on a story. And if you sell yourself on the wrong or bad story, you end up portraying that negatively to your team. So when I would feel like a loan officer assistant or a production partner would just really screw up or mess something up, and I get so mad about it, I played the victim, not the victor, but the victim. The reason I play the victim is, poor pitiful me, I can't believe you did this to me. What were you thinking? And it would just be aggressive for like no reason. So what I learned to be is more the guide instead of the victim, which allowed me to be the victor. So what I need you to understand is, you might be in the business 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, whatever it is. You're most likely in the business much longer than what your loan officer assistants are in the business. So as you're coaching up your loan officer assistants, when you're motivating them or inspiring them, you've got to be patient enough to be able to walk them down the path. They've got to go down the journey that you already went down, now you're able to master you in your role. Leadership is about being a crock pot instead of being a microwave. And as you learn to grow in your leadership, you'll learn to be more patient. The more patient you have, the more wisdom you have, the more successful as a team you become. Another mistake that I've seen myself make when I was younger in my career, and sometimes honestly I still do make it today. I'm not perfect and I don't ever claim to be perfect, but it's showing up and throwing up. So where I get too busy, but I've got a problem in my hands and I've got to go fix it with a loan officer or a loan officer assistant, I'll go, okay, just get me in the game, coach. I'll figure out a way to score. It's difficult to do that and be factual. So what I've learned is when I have a difficult conversation with a loan officer, I put together an agenda of the meeting. So say like 3 to 4 to 5 different things that you want to make sure that you hit. They're high points. And what's great about that is keep the corner of my desk. And as we're going through, if the loan officer assistant goes on a tantrum over here or over there, I'm like, okay, so the next thing we need to discuss is da. Blah, 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 blah. The next thing we need to discuss is da. So if you structure your meetings, you don't go in there and show up and throw up because you're so talented at your role and you're the perfect leader. Have an agenda that you're going there and following. And that gives you the time to be patient, to be able to walk them down the path so you can be a great leader. There's no way whatsoever that I've ever seen anybody build a $100 million mortgage business or a $200 million mortgage business being a one-man or one-woman show. You're gonna need a team. And it's gonna get to a point where I need you to understand this. It's gonna get to a point where you need your team more than your team needs you. You need your team more than what your team needs you. Keep that in mind, let that sink in. Because as you go down this path, leadership is about patience. Patience translates to wisdom. Wisdom translates to financial success, hence the independence that you can have today. So now that I've talked about the why, and now that you've bought in to understand what leadership is really about, let's go deeply into the technologies, which is the how, so you can implement.